To a little white dove. More than a feeling, that's the power of love. On behalf of Todd's goatee and Leanne's hair, I'd like to welcome you all to this celebration. This celebration of their love for one another. But more importantly, their commitment to one another. No doubt many of you will recognize the haunting lyrics of Huey Lewis and his news as he sings about what we're standing here witnessing today. Two people compelled by the power of love to make a life change, to no longer live apart and live separately, but to join themselves together and become one flesh. You know, as a perfectly legal, non-religious, internet licensed wedding officiant, it's my joy, my pleasure to stand witness to moments like these. Moments that the great statesman Benito Mussolini called transitionary moments in a person's life. Transitionary moments are moments when a person or persons chooses to cease the path that they're on and instead take an entirely new, different direction. And that's what we're watching here today. Todd and Leanne have lived a life of singleness, lived a life apart, but today, compelled by the power of love, they're choosing to cease that life and live together from this day forward forever. You know, I can see on many of your faces that you're thinking the same thing that I am thinking right now, which nothing better tells this story than one of the greatest movies, no, dare I say it, films ever created, Back to the Future Part 2. When Back to the Future Part 2 opens, Doc and Marty go forward in time from the year 1985 to the year 2055 to solve a future problem with Marty's future son. When they arrive in the future, they solve the problem, and they get in the time machine DeLorean and come back to the year 1985, but it's different, isn't it? We all know everything's different. Marty's dad has been murdered. His mom's a whore and married to Biff, who's no longer a bumbling idiot that he was in the previous film, but instead is a powerful autocrat that controls most of Hill Valley. But what happened? What happened to create this new 1985? Oh, I'll tell you. What happened was this. While Doc and Marty were in the future, in the year 2055, older Biff noticed what was happening, and he figured out what was going on. So he got in the time machine DeLorean and headed back to the year 1955 with a copy of what book? That's right, Gray's Sports Almanac, which many of you know contains the results of every major sporting event from 1955 forward. Older Biff gave that book, Gray's Sports Almanac, to his younger self. Now there's a point to the story, just stay with me, we're going to get there. He gave that book to his younger self, younger Biff, and instructed himself to bet on those events, thus becoming rich, thus becoming powerful, thus creating an alternate timeline with a new 1985, and that's exactly what we're seeing here today. Something like that. Todd and Leanne are ceasing their life apart and they're joining it together. They're creating a new future together. You see, this moment is their time machine DeLorean. And their copy of Gray's Sports Almanac is their love. Yeah, we're supposed to get an aw, but it didn't work. There we go, thank you. Before I do a ceremony like this, I like to interview the bride and groom separately and ask them two questions. One, why? Why are you getting married? What's compelling you to do this now? And two, what do you want this moment to be like? What do you want your guests to walk away with? What do you want to feel? What do you want to remember? Because that's what we're creating here, is just a memory that Todd and Leanne will no doubt have for the rest of their life. So I interviewed Todd and Leanne, and I asked them those questions. What is most important to you? And I'll be brutally honest, the answers I got from both Todd and Leanne were wildly unsatisfying. So I'm just going to make up some shit. Leanne just giggled and said she didn't know, and Todd, as you know, communicates mostly in grunts, clicks, and whistles. So I'll say this. Todd and Leanne don't have to get married. It's the year 2013. It's America. Nobody cares. There's a lot of logical reasons not to get married. But Todd and Leanne, instead of choosing to do the easy thing, following the easy path in life, instead are going to choose to do the hard thing. Because marriage is hard. Marriage is no longer thinking about we, but thinking about us. Marriage is no longer doing what's best for you, but doing what's best for your partner. Marriage is no longer being selfish, but instead putting someone else's needs in front of you. And I'm not a religious man, as you can probably tell. And I couldn't definitively stand up here and say what I know to be true about God's opinion on this moment in time. But I'd like to think that if he's watching, when two people who can't put into words how much they love their partner, but instead just say, I don't know why I want to get married. I just don't know. I just know that I don't want to be with anybody else for the rest of my life. Well, I'd like to think that makes him happy. You guys ready? You sure? Face each other. Todd, do you take Leanne to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for richer, for poor, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do you part? And Leanne, do you take Todd to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, in sickness and in health, for richer, for poor, for better, for worse, until death do you part? You didn't want Obey to be in there, did you? Do you have the rings? No one can agree on whether rings became part of the modern wedding ceremony, but most wedding scientists will agree with me when I say that it most likely got its start in the year 4800 BC in the Nile River Valley in Egypt. Starting out early on as bits of papyrus woven around people's hands to symbolize their commitment to each other, evolving into carved bone, and then later becoming the precious metal bands that we now wear on the fourth finger of our left hand. I have no real reason for sharing that with you, but if you haven't enjoyed this ceremony, at least you've learned something. Todd, will you place the ring on your finger? Repeat after me. I, Todd, give you, Leanne, this ring as a symbol of my love for you, and I will be faithful to you for the rest of my life. Put your finger on him. Repeat after me. I, Leanne, give you, Todd, this ring as a symbol of my love for you, and I will stay faithful to you for the rest of my life. You, sir, may kiss your bride.